Hey everyone! Welcome to Update X24H, your go-to channel for the latest news, hottest dramas, breaking stories, and all the buzz from the world of entertainment. We're here to keep you updated, entertained, and always in the loop. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing family, because here at Update X24H, we bring you the news that matters, the drama you love, and the stories you can't miss. Thanks for being part of our community. Let's stay connected, stay updated, and keep the good vibes rolling. What if the person you trusted most was the one who betrayed you? What if a shining star, adored by millions, was silenced not by fate, but by envy and obsession? Today, the nation gasps as the woman behind Yu Menglong's tragic death has finally been arrested, and her shocking confession inside the courtroom has left the entire world stunned. The arrest of the woman identified as the mastermind behind Yu Menglong's death sent a wave of disbelief through the nation. For months, people had speculated about whether his tragic fall was an accident or the result of something darker. But no one imagined that the truth would be so devastating. When she was escorted into the courtroom, her presence alone ignited a storm of whispers, 1,000 questions rising at once. Who was she really? Why would she harbor such hatred? What kind of secrets could she possibly confess that would explain such a cruel act? As the hearing unfolded, the weight of her words silenced every corner of the courtroom. She admitted that Yu Menglong's death had been no accident, but the product of long-planned malice. Her confession painted a picture of cruelty that was almost impossible to comprehend. Before he was forced toward the balcony, Yu had been drugged, humiliated, and left powerless. He had been stripped not only of his strength but also of his dignity, reduced to despair in his final hours. It was not fate that ended his life, but the cold hands of betrayal. The most heartbreaking moment came when she revealed who had carried out her orders. Two of Yu's closest friends from high school, men he had trusted with his youth and his dreams, were named as the ones who turned on him. The sense of betrayal was suffocating. For fans who had followed Yu's career and admired his sincerity, it was almost impossible to accept that the very people he once called brothers had chosen to destroy him. The revelation shattered illusions of loyalty and friendship, leaving only the sharp sting of treachery. As the details spilled out, the courtroom grew heavy with emotion. Journalists, officials, and fans alike were forced to confront the horrifying truth that envy, when left unchecked, can consume a soul entirely. Her jealousy of Yu's success had festered for years, transforming into a force so destructive that it poisoned everything it touched. It was not a sudden impulse, but a slow-burning fire that finally erupted. That arrest did more than close a chapter in a police investigation. It reminded the world how fragile trust can be, how quickly admiration can turn to resentment, and how dangerous it is when envy rules the heart. Her confession did not unfold like the simple statement of guilt that many expected. Instead, it struck the courtroom with the force of a storm, each word peeling back the carefully hidden layers of cruelty that had surrounded Yu Menglong's death. She admitted that what the world believed to be a sudden accident was, in truth, a deliberate breaking down of a man's spirit before his body was finally pushed toward silence. Yu had not simply fallen. He had been forced into despair step by step, his resistance stripped away until he could no longer stand. She described how he was drugged to weaken his strength, his cries for help smothered before they could reach anyone beyond the apartment walls. Witnesses later confirmed that faint shouts were heard, desperate and fleeting, but quickly dismissed as arguments among friends. Those were the last sounds of a man fighting to be heard. His body bore the evidence of abuse, his dignity stolen long before his life was ended. To hear her recount these details without hesitation was more chilling than the acts themselves, for it revealed a heart consumed not by rage in a single moment, but by a sustained obsession that allowed her to orchestrate suffering with precision. The room fell into stunned silence when she went further, naming the two people who had carried out the final act. They were not strangers, not faceless villains, but the very friends who had once shared Yu's laughter, his struggles, and his youthful dreams. The betrayal cut deeper than the violence. It was as though trust itself had been murdered that night, leaving everyone in disbelief that such cruelty could be born out of bonds once thought unbreakable. Her words carried a bitter justification. She confessed that every time Yu's name was cheered, every time his face appeared on a screen, she felt erased. His brilliance, his incorruptible sincerity, became daggers to her pride. What began as envy had grown into a destructive obsession, and in that obsession she found the will to corrupt even his closest companions. The confession was not only an admission of crime, it was a mirror held up to the darkest corners of human nature. Listening to her, one could not escape the haunting thought that success, so often celebrated, can also awaken shadows in those who cannot bear to live in its light. What unsettled the courtroom even further was the revelation that this crime had not been the work of a single mind or a single pair of hands. It was not only jealousy and betrayal at play, but a network of accomplices carefully drawn into the scheme, each assigned a role in ensuring that the truth would remain hidden. She confessed that 4 more individuals had been recruited, not to strike the fatal blow, but to weave a convincing illusion that Yu Menglong's death was nothing more than a tragic accident. Their purpose was deception, and their loyalty lay not with justice, but with the shadows that paid them. One was tasked with scattering Yu's belongings across the apartment, creating the impression of drunken carelessness. Another manipulated the neighbors, whispering that the sounds of struggle were nothing unusual, merely friends in heated argument. A third worked behind the scenes to erase fragments of surveillance footage, wiping away moments that could have revealed the truth. The fourth moved silently through the night, collecting objects and wiping surfaces, erasing fingerprints and traces of blood that would have told the real story. Together, they created a stage on which the illusion of an accidental fall could be performed with chilling precision. For a time it almost worked. Investigators themselves leaned toward closing the case as a tragic misstep, a moment of bad luck that claimed the life of a young star. The world was ready to grieve, to accept fate as the explanation. But even the most careful plans are never flawless. In the chaos of his final struggle, Yu instinctively clutched at his prized watch, sliding it into his pocket as though it were the last possession he wished to protect. That single act of defiance became the thread that unraveled the tapestry of lies. Forensic experts later discovered fingerprints and traces of DNA embedded in the metal, evidence that pointed directly to those who thought they had erased every trace. The revelation of this network was perhaps the most sobering moment of all. It demonstrated that evil rarely works alone. It gathers followers, exploits weakness, and multiplies its reach through fear and promises. To hear that so many had played a role in disguising such cruelty was to confront the uncomfortable truth that silence and complicity can be as dangerous as violence itself. Yu Menglong's death was not only the story of one man betrayed, but of a system of deceit, where each accomplice added another layer to the darkness that tried, but failed, to conceal the light. When asked why, her words chilled everyone in the room. Every cheer for him was a stab to me. His success mocked my failures. I could not stand his perfection. Her envy grew as Yu's fame soared, until it became a consuming obsession. She studied his schedule, targeted his vulnerabilities, and manipulated his friends with promises and threats. What began as jealousy evolved into a network of betrayal, until one night, she could no longer control her hatred. That night, Yu Menglong's light was extinguished. But beyond the courtroom drama lies something deeper. Yu's story is not just about crime. It's about the fragility of trust, the dangers of unchecked envy, and the silent battles faced by those who shine too brightly. His death reminds us that behind every smile on screen, there are unseen struggles. And it urges us, as fans and as people, to value honesty, loyalty, and compassion over the toxic pull of comparison. Yu Menglong's legacy lives on, not only through his music and films, but through the conversations his story has sparked about truth, justice, and humanity. If this story touched you, if you believe that truth must always prevail, then please subscribe to Update X24H, where we bring you powerful stories that matter. Thank you for watching, and remember, stay strong, stay inspired, and never let envy steal your light.